It was a great escape, a great adventure. A gallant band of Allied POWs who waged their own private war against the Nazis. As a movie, it was stirring stuff, all stiff upper lips and Steve McQueen on a motorbike. In real life, the plan was even more daring, the escape more exciting, and the heroes more courageous. And it all happened exactly 60 years ago. A fitting time to relive the legend, to commemorate this, the greatest of great escapes. Time too for a very special Australian to return and remember his mates, the men from Stalag Luft 3 who didn't make it. It was the most audacious breakout of World War II. The plan? To dig 3 tunnels, nicknamed Tom, Dick and Harry, to smuggle hundreds of prisoners out of a camp the Germans boasted was escape-proof.
250? Yeah. You're crazy. You ought to be locked up. You too. 250 guys just walking down the road, just like that.
It's hard to imagine, but the Hollywood version of The Great Escape, for all its efforts, just couldn't match the spunk of the real-life characters of this amazing breakout. It's not until you meet the men of Stalag Luft 3, hear what they did 60 years ago, that you realise their tenacity could never have come from some scriptwriter's imagination. It was just too unbelievable. But of course it was real, and it came from defiance and sheer brilliance.
Valenta, Tim Whalen next to him, Al Hayter next to him. Brilliant guy, these were. Brilliant guy. No, I wasn't going to do this, was I?
Geoffrey Cornish has travelled a long way to visit some old mates.
Little Danny Kroll. God, could he dig? He was one of them.
A war cemetery in Poznan, Poland, the final destination for 50 of the great escapers murdered by the Gestapo.
Roger Bushell, of course, he was just the most wonderful leader. You see, those bloody Huns, they want me to do this. I won't do it. I'm damned if I'll do it, unless they make me.
Was the plan for the Great Escape done with fear and trepidation, or was it a great adventure?
A great adventure. Oh, they fought to get onto the team doing it.
Surely you must have been frightened of the consequences if you were caught.
You never gave it a thought.
Before his capture, Geoffrey Cornish was an Australian flight lieutenant flying with the RAF. In 1941, in a bomber over Europe, he was on a raid that went wrong.
There were no searchlights, there were no night fighters, and there was no anti-aircraft defence. So it smelt something bad was cooking, and it certainly was.
Enemy fighters shot down his plane. Geoffrey parachuted into this Dutch field where a local family ran to his help. This is their first reunion since the war.
63 years. That's a long time.
Yes, indeed.
And now that it has happened, what do you think?
I'm glad everything is okay. Yes, okay. Yes, I'm very happy.
Very good.
But Geoffrey's freedom was short-lived. The Germans were waiting.
I just remember
a
gun at my head and another one in my kidneys, and saying for you the war was over. And I think I'm very agreeable. I agreed with him that it looked as if it was.
Eventually, Geoffrey Cornish would end up at Stalag Luft 3 in what was then Eastern Germany. There's not much left of the camp these days, just some ruins, a water reservoir where the prisoners used to swim, and the old theatre. The camp housed Allied officers who'd attempted escape from other camps. At Stalag Luft 3, they were told there was no way out. Was the big mistake for the Germans to put all these brilliant men together?
Yes, it was a big mistake, but there wasn't much they could do about it because they'd already had them in lots of different camps all over the place, and they carried on escaping from those camps as well. So, yes, it probably was a big mistake, and they paid for it in the end.
Author Tim Carroll says the difference with The Great Escape was the meticulous planning and resourcefulness of its men.
Here's a present from Tomza. Ah, thank you, Nemo.
They very much do want freedom at all costs. And this is the thing about The Great Escape. That's what it was all about. It was about cocking a snoot at these people who were bossing them around and thought that they could captivate them.
We were there for 1 year. Mm. And then moved over to here the day that opened.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
and
so...
one day after that, I was in Kula.
Yes, because you tried to escape.
Yeah.
How could you be so brave to try to escape a day after arriving here?
If you saw a chance, you took it.
Just like the movie, Jeff's first chance at escape was to impersonate a Russian prisoner.
I think you speak Russian.
A team of them was allowed out of the camp to dump pine trees.
And I could see freedom literally not far away, and in through the main gate came a German guard who knew me very well. What? And he just looked at me and said, "Kommen Sie mal mit."
Out. Out!
Okay.
You'd been sprung.
Yes.
Oh.
Get out, Cedric.
I was filthy dirty in the whole Russian uniform underneath a treetop, but he knew me.
Oh.
God damn.
God damn.
Escaping from the enemy was every military man's duty, and in the spring of 1943, a cunning plan was hatched. Construction began on an elaborate series of tunnels.
Good, eh? Danny, it's bloody beautiful.
As the film showed so wonderfully, it was all done under the noses of the Germans.
The electricians had tapped the electricity supply so that we could turn the light on, and you had electric lighting along the whole tunnel. It was really quite well set up.
Cornish, an amateur photographer, was a key member of the ingenious team who made everything from forged identity papers to the civilian clothes they'd need.
I got to take all the pictures for the forged passports, foreign workers' documents and so on, and be responsible for hiding them.
Where did you get the camera from? I mean, you're in a prisoner of war camp.
Yeah, one of the Germans brought it in. Yeah.
You basically could get your fingers on anything you wanted.
Oh, yes. Mm. Because the German bribery department was, I say, extremely well run, and we had control of the situation.
Coffee, coffee, coffee.
We were each given 1 or 2 specific guards to take care of. We cultivated them. Here's some soap for your wife, some chocolates for your kids, and a tin of Nescafe for you.
Tu lieber got chocolate.
Oh, yeah, here. Take one.
The thought of even getting out was marvellous, and you see, nobody had ever been shot for trying to escape up to that time. Absolutely no attempt had been made to hurt people. So we thought, oh, if we get out and they catch us, they'll bring us back.
Well, I think that it was such a wonderful effort of so many...
Australian Bill Fordyce, who turns 90 this week, thought he'd won the jackpot when his name was called out to join the escape attempt through Tunnel Harry.
I just applied for a number because there was a lottery to find out who would like to go, and many hundreds applied, and I drew number 86, and I just thought, how marvellous.
Was there a sense of excitement?
Probably thinking, oh, good, if I can succeed, I might get home.
But as the escape grew closer, Geoffrey Cornish faced an agonising choice. He decided to give up his spot to treat sick mates in a camp hospital. His position went to Charles Hall.
And when I offered the chance to him, he jumped at it, of course. There was his passports and everything, and all his identity, the whole skip. He said, "You're mad." I said, "Shut up. I've made up my mind. I'm not changing it again. I'm going."
The Harry Tunnel started here, under a stove, in Hut 104. And their first job was to dig down, and they did, 10 metres deep. 3 teams working 2 to 3 hour shifts in a space about this wide. It took them a year to tunnel 111 metres, but when they stuck their heads out on the 24th of March 1944, they were 10 metres short of the trees. Incredibly, with a German guard patrolling the outside perimeter just over there, 76 men made it out.
You're up, Sedgwick. I'll take over.
As the escape began, Bill Fordyce was waiting at the tunnel's entrance.
The people just picked you up, put you in and placed you on the trolley, and you then jerked the rope and you were pulled along.
What about your own thoughts? Was your heart racing hard at the time?
Well, I was always a coward and a sissy, so it was probably thumping hard. Well, I think I was getting off the trolley, and someone from up top screamed out, "Get back, the goons are here."
Get off! I'm coming back!
The Germans were panicking and shooting guns all around the place and threatening us. It was extraordinary. I left a lot of things that I valued in the tunnel because I was very, very frightened, and I just got back as quickly as I could, which was a very slow job.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Within 10 days, all but 3 of the 76 great escapers had been recaptured. And breaking the convention of war, Hitler ordered the Gestapo to execute 50 of them, including 4 Australians. They were all shot in the back of the neck. Did it feel like a short-lived victory?
Oh, very much so. The sheer horror of it, the unexpectedness of the brutality that came after it, immediately after it, was just the worst anticlimax you could ever imagine. It really was.
Considering that of the 76 who tried to escape, 50 were executed, only 3 made it to freedom, the rest were caught fairly quickly. Was the Great Escape a great escape?
Yes, it was a great escape. It was an enormous success. It's been calculated that 5 million people in Germany were diverted from the war effort in order to track down these escapers, diverted from the war effort at an absolutely crucial time for the Germans, looking for these Allied prisoners. It's one reason why Adolf Hitler flew into such a rage about the whole thing.
But that's the one, Charlie Hall. He's the one that says, couldn't believe his luck when I gave him all my papers. He said, "You're mad."
He said you were mad?
Yeah.
Dr. Geoffrey Cornish knows he could so easily have been Charlie Hall, any one of these men.
Tara, it's one job that I completely dodged. At the end of the war, when I got back to England, Charles had been an only son, and I could not front up to his parents and say, "I'm so sorry that your son was killed and I wasn't executed in his place." I couldn't say that, in all truth. It's haunted me a bit, but I did not see anything useful I could contribute by reigniting their grief and saying, "Aren't I the lucky one?" No.
Quite a moment.
Yes.
To walk straight up and sit,
Today, with his wife Alison beside him, Flight Lieutenant Geoffrey Cornish remembers the friends who never made it.
2 away from Roger Bushell, Jimmy Catton, Al Hake, Tim Whalen. Oh, thank God we got each other, darling.
Why is it important to remember something like the Great Escape 60 years on?
Because there were 50 of my best mates who were executed. And I will do anything I can to keep their memory alive. It's one of the main reasons I'm here.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes, segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.